Welcome, and thank you for joining us. Today we'll be walking through best practices for the location indicator in the Health Product Declaration, or HPD. This guidance is part of our effort at HPDC to promote supply chain transparency, environmental justice, and social equity through detailed location-based data. Here's our agenda for today. We'll start with the background and purpose of the location indicator and then walk through how it works, including recent updates. We'll also review the scope of its application, how to use the guidance, and what data needs to be reported. Finally, we'll go over some key terms in the glossary and wrap up with a demonstration. This presentation will help you better understand how location data can be a valuable addition to your HPDs. The location indicator was created to enable manufacturers to include location-based data within an HPD. This helps support broader goals of social equity, regulatory compliance, and supply chain transparency. It captures where a product is manufactured and where the materials or substances used in that product are sourced, extracted, refined, or processed. This optional feature consists of three key data fields: location, which uses latitude and longitude via a mapping API, country, selected from a drop-down list, and process stage, which identifies the type of activity at that location, like extraction or manufacturing. And to address confidentiality concerns, manufacturers can choose not to disclose exact location details while still providing the country-level information. Let's now take a closer look at how the location indicator functions within the HPD builder. There are three key data fields to be filled out. Location. This refers to latitude and longitude coordinates, which are captured using an integrated mapping API. Country. Selected from a drop-down menu, this represents the origin country of the process or material. Process stage. This defines the type of activity happening at that location, such as extraction, processing, or final manufacturing. A recent update to note: the product manufacturing location is now entered at the manufacturer level in the General Information section of the HPD Builder. Meanwhile, location data for materials, substances, and polymers can still be entered at their respective nested levels. You can also input multiple locations and process stages when necessary. This flexibility allows for more comprehensive supply chain mapping. It's important to emphasize that the use of the location indicator is optional for manufacturers publishing an HPD. However, it is highly encouraged as it supports transparency and helps HPD users make more informed decisions. This location data can be valuable for evaluating geographic risks, such as those related to natural disasters or labor practices, environmental justice considerations, regulatory exposure, and ethical sourcing concerns. Ultimately, the more information shared about where materials and products originate, the more responsibly and sustainably project teams can specify materials. Here are a few key terms that support the understanding and use of the location indicator. API. This stands for Application Programming Interface. It's the technology behind the mapping tool used to capture latitude and longitude coordinates. Country refers to the origin country for materials or where a company's headquarters is located. This is selected from a predefined drop-down list. Location. This is the specific latitude and longitude data provided via the Online Maps API. Process stage indicates the type of production or processing taking place at the site, like manufacturing or extraction. Tier 1 suppliers. These are the direct suppliers providing materials or substances to the manufacturer. Tier 2 suppliers. These are suppliers who provide to Tier 1 suppliers, one step further up the supply chain. Understanding these terms will help ensure consistent and accurate use of the location indicator fields. Let's now look at the scope of the location indicator within the HPD Open Standard. This feature can be used at multiple levels of product reporting, including the product, part, material, and substance levels. It recognizes that materials and substances can come from multiple locations, and different process stages can take place at different geographic sites. Disclosure is primarily focused on Tier 1 suppliers, but manufacturers can also choose to disclose additional tiers if desired. As mentioned earlier, the product manufacturing location is entered at the manufacturer level, while materials, substances, and polymers have location data entered at their nested levels within the HPD builder. For full guidance on scope and requirements, we always recommend referring to the latest HPD open standard. This slide shows how data reporting works within the HPD builder when using the location indicator. At the product level, the manufacturing location is recorded within the general information section. This is where manufacturers can indicate where the final product is manufactured or assembled. At the substance, material, or polymer level, location details can be added for each relevant stage in the supply chain, and both location and process stage can be marked as undisclosed if necessary, allowing flexibility for confidentiality while still supporting transparency at the country level. You'll also notice that the interface supports entering multiple locations for any single component, which is particularly useful for global supply chains. Here we focus specifically on how the location indicator is applied at the product level within the HPD builder. At this level, the product manufacturing location is entered in the general information section of the HPD. This entry represents where the final product is manufactured or assembled. While the location indicator remains optional, manufacturers are encouraged to disclose this information to support greater supply chain transparency and to meet the growing demand for location-based environmental and regulatory assessments. Remember, even if a specific facility address is not disclosed, you can still provide country-level information to preserve confidentiality while supporting the goals of transparency and responsible sourcing. Now let's look at how location data can be entered at the substance, material, and polymer levels. These entries allow for more detailed and granular tracking of supply chain inputs. For example, if a material is sourced from multiple regions, or a polymer is processed in a different country than it's extracted, that can all be captured here. This level of reporting helps users understand where different process stages occur, such as extraction, refining, or compounding. Like at the product level, entering this data is optional, but doing so significantly enhances the transparency and utility of the HPD for those assessing environmental justice, labor conditions, or regional compliance requirements. In some cases, manufacturers may need to withhold specific location details due to confidentiality or competitive concerns. In these instances, the HPD builder allows you to mark the location as undisclosed. This still supports transparency by showing that the location was considered and by optionally allowing the country to be reported even if the exact coordinates are not. This flexibility ensures that manufacturers can participate in supply chain transparency efforts while protecting sensitive business information. Similarly, if a manufacturer is unable or unwilling to disclose the process stage associated with a specific location, this too can be marked as undisclosed. While we encourage full disclosure wherever possible, we recognize that some supply chain partners may limit access to such information. Again, this feature allows you to acknowledge data gaps transparently without compromising the overall completeness of the HPD. Another important detail to include is the company headquarters country and location. This is distinct from the product manufacturing site. It helps users understand the corporate geographic context for the manufacturer, which can also be relevant for procurement and compliance assessments. This information can be added alongside the product manufacturing location in the general information section of the HPD builder. Including this data adds another layer of transparency that benefits users focused on regional policies, responsible sourcing, and ESG reporting. Now we'll move into a demonstration of how to enter location data using the HPD builder. We'll walk through adding product manufacturing location at the manufacturer level, entering latitude, longitude coordinates using the API, selecting country and process stage from dropdowns, and marking data as undisclosed when needed. This step-by-step guide will help you see exactly where to enter each piece of data and how to apply the best practices we've discussed today. That concludes our overview of the location indicator and its best practices within the HPD builder. We hope this session has helped clarify how location data can be used to enhance supply chain transparency and support decision-making around environmental justice, regulatory compliance, and ethical sourcing. If you have any questions or need further support, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at support@hpdc.org. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your continued commitment to healthier, more transparent building products.